Yes. Yes. First live in a few weeks. First live in a few weeks. We get back into these lives. I miss this. I miss these. Just times to be busy, lads. Times to be busy. Let's get a few people in here. I'll have a chat. I'll have a chat about boxing. We'll talk AJ versus Usyk. Great fight, you know. I think this fight is brilliant. I think it's going to be a fun fight. The more I think about this fight, the more I kind of see different outcomes, if you know what I mean. The more I think this could happen, the more I think that could happen. Just let me know how the sound is, by the way, as well. For anyone in the building, make sure that sounds okay, because I haven't changed mics on this PC in a while. I don't know how this is going to sound, if it's going to sound clear or if it's going to sound a bit all over the shop. So if you could, when you pop in, just even one comment saying it's fine. But yeah, this straight in there. Straight in there. There you go. Tony Bellew straight in. Now, mate, since you've been on the channel, right, since I've talked that much about you, I really did believe you when you said you just wanted to go home, take care of your wife and kids, be left alone. And here we are. You know, you're on the zone now. I wonder will that's one thing actually. Will Sky put him on their card? Will they do it? Because he's going to be on the zone card, so we're going to have to listen to, you know, the old Harley Quinn, Mr. J. But are we going to hear that on Sky Box Office? We'll probably get Barry Jones and Adam Smith, you know. Please, Eddie. Please come back. We miss you. I don't want to commentate on that. Big up to Byron, all right, G. Big up. Who do you think will be on the undercard? Well, I reckon the Collie definitely will be on the undercard. So I wonder what they'll do in terms of, you know, getting him set up with a fight, because I think the plan really was Myris Breedis. Will they just go and look at some of the other big names in the division? You know, your Yanir Dorticos, Ilunga Makabu or someone like that. So it's going to be interesting. I see. I'm just wondering. I'm sure Eddie Hearn has already done this, right? But I'm just wondering, kind of, because basically, right, he would have took a lot of these fighters that were on Sky but are already signed with Matchroom, brought them to the zone. What way are the zone going to do it? Are they going to turn around and say, "Oh, you can have all these fighters go onto Sky"? They're not going to care because they know they're coming back, or is it kind of going to be? Is Eddie Hearn, because you know AJ has his own fighters that he manages? Is it kind of going to be like Eddie Hearn is the official promoter, but is AJ going to have a say? Like he already does, but is it going to be kind of more AJ fighters on the undercard? Because prior to the Ruiz, the first Ruiz fight, the undercards for AJ have never been particularly amazing. There's been a few exceptions, definitely, but normally they're not anything to write home about. Like, for example, the Pulev undercard wasn't great. You know, both his fights in 2019, they had good undercards, to be fair. But then we look at, you know, time's gone back, you know, Brazil wasn't great. Molina did, to be fair, that had a good little co-main event, but the rest weren't great. The Dylan White fight, we're going back a while now, 2015, that had a good undercard, but AJ wasn't even a world champion at the time, and Eddie Hearn was trying to sell that. Like, he was selling the British title fight on pay-per-view, and it still did very good numbers, you know, but he needed a good undercard because you're basically selling the British title fight on pay-per-view. Remember that card had Eubank versus Spike O'Sullivan, had Harley Quinn on it when he fought Masiak, I think is how you pronounce it. That was a good undercard. I'm not on punditry for Sky Podcast, but I make sure my voice is heard during the main event. Don't worry. Yeah, we. Oh my god. Like, I just don't understand. What the fuck? Like, I just can't comprehend why they brought him to the zone. Like, I mean, what has been like, and not just me. You've seen like Dell complain about it. You've seen a few people complain about like Bellew on commentary. So why is it that, like, I even made a video once where I said Sky need to sack Tony Bellew, you know, and that was about 2 years ago. So this has been an ongoing thing for a while now. So why did they bring him to the zone? Like, I just don't get it, you know. And the worst thing is they brought Bellew to the zone, but not Malignaggi. Like, mate, not Malinaji. Happy summer evening, G-Man. Big up to Joe every time. Happy summer evening, everyone else. Salute to Joe Stunner in the building. Big up, my man. Big up to you, my man. Yeah, it is really, like, I'm doing this in my bedroom, and it is, I've got the window as wide open as I can with a bottle of water here, and it's still really hot. Really hot. You know? I think one of the reasons I was sick over the weekend, now, it probably was just a bug, but I was out in the sun on like Thursday all day because I was off Thursday, Friday. And pretty much thereafter, I was like wrote off. And I wasn't sunburned. Like, I'm not sunburned, but I was wrote off after that, you know? So maybe the sun had an effect. Have you seen the John Fury interview? I think he is worried the longer they delay a potential flight with Fury, better chance AJ has. Yeah, I can see where he's coming with that. You know, the more time you give AJ, and the more, like, this fight here against Usyk, should he get through this fight, do his confidence the world of good. You know, coming off the back of the Ruiz loss, you know, a couple of fights back, because AJ's only had one fight since the Ruiz rematch. This fight will do him the world of good. It's probably, you see, if you want to have Klitschko as his best win, I'm okay with that. But in terms of a prime pound for pound fighter, Usyk would theoretically be his best win if you look at it kind of in that context, because Klitschko was not the Klitschko of 2010, you know, in 2017. So if he beats Usyk, and I'll let the chat get to about 40 people or so, and I'll ask the question, who do you all have? But the more I'm thinking about this fight, the more I'm thinking, God, I'm kind of all over the shop about it. Big up to Nimble. I big up the call, by the way. Big up to George. Good evening, G-Man. Hashtag G-Man's rocks. All good, my man. All good. Sounds good. Yeah, appreciate that. AJ will get exposed, hence the reason for the desperate attempt of a rematch clause. Again, like, I don't see why Eddie Hearn has to keep doing this, not just with mandatories, but in general. I mean, Mauricio Lara gets a rematch clause in a non-title fight, really, against Josh Warrington. And do you know what, right? If it's just going off topic here, but if Warrington loses that fight, oh boy, he really is, like, imagine if Josh Warrington loses that fight, which I'm picking Mauricio Lara to win the fight, by the way. He left Frank Warren to go to Eddie Hearn, and within 2 fights, his career could be completely done and dusted. It's pretty crazy to think about it when you think about it like that. Like, within 2 fights of leaving Frank Warren, who got you a world title, your career could be essentially gonzo. It's crazy. Joshua will win, putting on the weight will slow him down. I can see where you're coming from with that, but I'm thinking in my head, like, as well, like, where maybe the weight, I'm sure that there will be some beneficial gain to it, you know, but I'm just trying to think about it, man. I'm just trying to think about it. First up, Tony. Oh, yeah. Harley Quinn. Big up to Nate. Big up to Lee every time from Watford. No, I'm not going to feck up counties again. That's in Herefordshire, not London. I used to always think that was in London. No idea why. What chance do you give Lee Wood against Kanzu? You know what, right? Lee Wood, I'd seen Lee Wood a few times. He looked fairly run-of-the-mill. His last fight, where he was trained by Ben Davis, there was noticeable improvements there. I think maybe he needs a bit more time with Ben Davison and some gradual step-up fights, because he's not one of the elite at that weight, but it's a big step up from the guys, you know, Lee Wood was fighting. I mean, like, Lee Wood only in his last, if you take this right, he lost to Jazza Dickens, and then he beat Reese Mole. Now, that was a good win. He battered him from pillar to post. He beat David Oliver Joyce, who's over the hill, or was anyway. You know, win over Ryan Doyle. Again, like, these fights are not really going to stand you. Like, he was stopped by Gavin McDonald, of all people. Like, Gavin McDonald has feather fists, you know? So you got to ask the question about Lee Wood. Lee Wood can bang a bit. I know his record might not suggest that, but he can punch a bit. You know, he definitely seems to be hitting a lot harder and sitting into his shots more now that he's with Ben Davison. So we'll see how that goes. I think AJ should wait and try to take Usyk out mid-rounds. If he goes for it too early, oh, God. You know something, right? some people might say that AJ getting Usyk hurt early might put Usyk in his place. But if AJ does hurt Usyk early, decides to maybe, step on the gas, AJ, we know, whenever he tries to finish an opponent, like look at Kubrat Pulev, round 3, should have really got him out of there. He didn't. Took him another 6 rounds. Why? Because if he overexerts himself, he needs those few rounds to catch his breath and to regroup. And one thing about Usyk's strong strengths are in the kind of mid to late rounds, specifically the mid rounds when he really comes on. That's the only time we see AJ fail. Lactic acid builds up. Is a genetic deflect. AJ is full of that lactic acid juice. Yeah. He really, people say, he went 12 rounds against Ruiz. He didn't fight that at a frantic pace, and he was doing his bare minimum to be as negative as he can be. So if he's working against Usyk, and I don't think he should. Some people are saying he should go and just try and put it on Usyk. I think that might even play into Usyk's hands a bit. I really do. If AJ winning, Usyk putting on weight put me off. Yeah, the same with me, mate. Same with me. We'll never predict the Wilder fight could go either way, but AJ beats Fury by KO. You see, the Fury thing, I'm going to be frank, I kind of almost resigned to the fact that I don't think we're going to ever see that fight. And it's not AJ's fault. I think that Fury is just so unreliable that it's, something, he's just such an unreliable character that I just, like I said in my video the other night, if he told me you're going to want to bring sunscreen out because there's a scorcher out there, I'd get an umbrella. I'd get an umbrella and a hood and I'd go out with a fucking umbrella on because I'd be thinking, it's clearly raining. Because Fury said it, so it's clearly raining. Because he said it's sunny. AJ beats cash cow, hence the rematch clause. Would rather no rematch. We all would rather no rematch, mate. I mean, I'd love to see AJ versus Fury next. But if Usyk wins, he should be perfectly in his right to say, you know what, I'm going for undisputed now. I guess it was probably was kind of Klitschko kind of time when, you see, what Klitschko used to do was, I think I remember with Pulev didn't have a rematch clause against Klitschko. I think the issue with Pulev, right, was he didn't want to sign a rematch clause for the Klitschko fight, because if you go back and you look at Klitschko had the WBA and the WBO and the IBF titles, but only the IBF title was on the line because Pulev was the mandatory with the IBF. And I believe that part of the reason why only, so if, let's say for argument's sake, Pulev versus Klitschko in 2014, let's just say something happened in that fight. We know what happened, but let's say that never happened and Pulev won. He would have only got the IBF title. Could have sailed off with that, but Klitschko would have had the other two. So it was really kind of Klitschko kind of era when that started. And obviously Fury signed that rematch clause, which caused all that, kerfuffle. AJ wouldn't land the glove on Fury. I'd lean towards Fury, to be honest with you, mate. I would lean towards Fury. G-Man, how's life, buddy? It's good, mate. Really? That's the first I've heard about that, mate. Callum Smith and Buddy McGregor. Wait there a sec. That's the first I've heard of that, mate. If that is the case, it doesn't hurt to try something new. Jesus, I'm not seeing any, do you have the sources for that, mate? Just not saying you're a liar, but I want to, that's an interesting match. Callum Smith is someone who doesn't use enough of his height, to be honest with you. 6'3", but he's someone who he lets himself get trapped on the ropes. I think him at light heavyweight is long overdue, but personally, him and Gallagher, nothing against Joe Gallagher personally, right? But if I was managing young fighters and they were coming from the pros, or coming into the pros, I would be telling them look, Joe Gallagher seems like a nice guy, but his style is very rudimentary, run of the mill. And his fighters, if you know this about Gallagher fighters, they don't tend to have longevity. They seem to be kind of out of gas out of gas, as in their careers. They seem to fade very quickly. I wonder what he just happened doing in sparring. Because you look at someone like Scott Quigg, I know he spent a bit of time with Freddie Roach, but Scott Quigg, he wasn't in, brutal wars. in the pro game. Yeah, he had some tough fights, but for him to have regressed to the level he did, I know the Valdez fight didn't help, and that was with Freddie Roach, but it does make you wonder. Yeah, that's why he's on the zone. Yeah, literally, Bellew won't say a bad word, and like, you know, I hate seeing. I don't. Well, I hate the fact that there's drugs, cheats, and boxing in general. But like, look at Bellew when someone in America, like a PBC fighter or someone, fails a drugs test, and look at how different he is when it's a matchroom fighter or a fighter he knows. You know, it's just, oh, mate. The essence of mandatory is there, yeah, but mate, I think with boxing, when you get people who are this, you know, big in terms of AJ and stuff like that, they can dictate what they want to do, mate. They really can. You know, big up to Nuri every time. No, is that how I'm saying it? Neural? Mate, I'm probably butchering the name. I always say that to you. I probably butchered the name, but apologies. Apologies, mate, if I am. I big up to Love Boxing TV. Guys just hit 1,000 subscribers there about a week or two ago. So if you haven't already, go and give their channel a shout out. Or go and give their channel a look, I should say. Big up to the guys. You know, they do good little predictions, 3-minute predictions. I'll go back to where I was in a sec. I just saw someone. Yeah, Noam says, thoughts on Lewis Hamilton's latest F1 win. Personally, I think he's a scumbag. I've never had a lot of time for Lewis Hamilton. Ever since he started in F1, I didn't like him particularly. To be fair, that racing incident, that was 60-40, to be fair. Verstappen could have backed out of it a little bit earlier, but Hamilton definitely, you know, he could have backed out of it too. Do I think that the penalty was BS? That to me, that's a drive-through. He needed the drive-through penalty for that, not a 10-second penalty. But look, we've seen silly things happen in F1 before. Look, I just, as long as Verstappen wins the title this year, I don't care. It's made me, having Lewis Hamilton on top has made me hate F1 in the last few years. It was really last year that kind of got me back on track with it. But 2018, 2019, I barely watched any races, you know, barely watched any. So please, God, let Verstappen win the world title this year, because Verstappen is switched on, you know, he is. And he's driving for Red Bull, and Dietrich Mateschitz from Red Bull is like, you know, he's a man's man. We'll put it to you like that, mate. So yeah, Verstappen is a good driver as well. We share the same birthday as well, me and Max Verstappen, just different days. But yeah, it's going to Hungary next. This season, right, it's been all right this season. I've enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to next season though. The cars look a lot better. It's going to be a lot more fun. These cars are way too wide and they're way too fast. So you're never going to get proper good racing. Bellew and Eddie are mates. I expect as simple as that. Same with Aaron Barker too. Yeah, Barker has his moments where he's okay, and then these other moments where like you kind of zone out. Barker's not the worst, but Bellew, like, I know Eddie Hearn, it's kind of, that's what Sky was. I mean, Sky kind of got, you know, guys on commentary and guys punditry who they really shouldn't have, and now a lot of them are going over to the zone. Not sure what you said putting. I'd have him. I thought he'd be staying light. Would give him. So did I, man. I can only imagine. I can only imagine that the reason why he's gaining weight is that he's hearing the criticism about his performance against Ches Witherspoon, his performance against the other guy, what was his name, Chisora, and he maybe is looking at more at Gassiev and thinking, do you know what, Gassiev, when he went from cruiser to heavyweight, because Gassiev's in the 230s, maybe he's looking at him and thinking, do you know what, maybe I need to be like these guys. I need to be just that little bit bigger and stuff like that. So, you know, basically, I reckon that could be the reason why, which at the end of the day, like, he's not designed to be like that. Like, he is better off the way he is, you know. So if you took Usyk pre-weight cut and just let him go into the ring as natural, that is the best we'll get of Usyk. That's when he has all his advantages. You get heavier, you're taking them away. And like, it'd be interesting to see what he weighs in, because maybe he's just fooling us. Maybe he'll stand on the scale, he'll only be about 220. think Eddie Hearn just having the option rematch if he loses gets it's kind of smart to have the option. Yeah, well, Don King did something similar in the 90s. Don King, did he do many rematches? He did a few, but more so what Don King would do is that he would have options on the fighter. So for argument's sake, when Nigel Benn fought Gerald McClellan, McClellan was Don King's fighter. McClellan came to the ring with Don King. Nigel Benn was a Frank Warren fighter, but straight away you saw what happened. And McClellan was obviously in a bad way after the fight, but Don King was like, "Yeah, I've got Nigel Benn. You made a believer out of me," and was straight over there with Nigel Benn. That's what Don King used to do. With Eddie Hearn, Eddie is nowhere near as bad as Don King, not even close. But it's something kind of similar in a way, and he's done that before with fighters, like took up options on them. I remember when remember Julius Ndongo fought Ricky Burns, straight away Eddie Hearn was like, "Yeah, I've got options on him, so I'm promoting his neck." Because that was when he fought Crawford, that was co-promoted with Eddie Hearn. I think Dylan White was on the undercard of that fight. Usyk may not be physically present, but mentally drains opponents. I think his lack of movement. But I think the treaters will award AJ to fight no matter what. Yeah, Usyk's gonna need some knockdowns, definitely. I think that Usyk will definitely need knockdowns in this fight. It may be a case of that he needs seriously maybe 2 knockdowns and 2 very clear rounds just to get a draw. Seriously, could be seriously that. Could be kind of like that. Big thanks to Mrs. G for for letting your boy back on the lives. Oh man, I've been planning on doing one of these like all week, but I've been busy with other things actually, not that. Usyk putting on false images. If he's putting weight on, could very well be. No, I don't discount that. Look, people have done strange things before. Who was it? Was it Eubank or who was it? I can't remember who it was, but you see people stand on scales to show heavier weights, and they've not even been close to that on fight night. G-Man, you think Bridgerweight division is going to go anywhere in boxing? To be fair, right, that Bridgerweight fight between Kudryashov and Evgeny Ramon was decent, but I really don't, to be honest with you. It's only with the WBC, so like you're not going to get ranked with any other sanctioning body. And at the end of the day, like, is there much interest in it? Not really. Like, I mean, it's a weird one. Like, because I suppose you could kind of look at it and say it has a wee bit of potential, because essentially you'd be looking at the heavyweights of the 90s would be pretty much Bridgerweight now. I have to tend to. I just don't think it's going to catch on. I just think that boxing has too many divisions as it is, and I just think that if you want to move up to heavyweight, you're hardly going to turn around and be like, "Yeah, well, I'll just be a Bridgerweight." You want to go to heavyweight. Like, look at Breedis. He's not going to stop off a Bridgerweight. He's going to go straight to heavyweight. I'm giving AJ a slight edge on power, but could go either way. Well, there's 45 in the chat. So 2 things. One, if you could smash the like button, help me out there. And second, I want to know, right? I want to kind of get a general idea of where we're at in the chat with regards who you think will win, right? Just leave me a comment saying, you can say by method as well, but just leave a comment saying Usyk KOUD or AJ KOUDMD, etc. You know yourself, like, or just decision, whichever you prefer. I want to get an idea of where we're at, where everyone's at. Big up to J-Deb, by the way. Ever since Joker's Park fight, he's fought like an accountant. Yeah, he has. He's really he's really not done much in terms of like exciting. Although the first Ruiz fight was exciting. Good video the other day on putting on muscles. People think it increases your power when it might hinder it. You also lose stamina, speed. Do you know something, right? In any aspect I've seen where people have put on a lot of muscle, it's never significantly made their power better. And a lot of times, you're right, it has taken away. And a lot of times I've seen fighters who they put on an unnecessary amount of muscle and they look way worse. Like, look at Briggs, for example, in the 90s. 225, hitting like a train. 260, no different. Only difference is he already had bad stamina. Now he's really bad. And Briggs, I think, was on more than just a few protein shakes, that sort of way, because look at the way Briggs was in the 90s and look at how he was when he was, trying to, let's go champ. He was never that loud and abrasive, and certain substances can do that to your mind. They can change your personality. And I reckon Briggs, well, we know because he was popped a few times. I reckon Briggs was juiced to the tip. Do you think AJ stamina will be a factor? I'm starting to think Usyk may try to go for it late as he knows he's not getting a decision. Do you know something, mate? I think I said it earlier at the start of the stream. If you look at like rounds kind of 7 through 9, 7 through 10, typically that's when you see AJ kind of slow down quite a bit, quite dramatically, and you see his opponents get a bit more success. You know, even in the Ruiz rematch, we saw Ruiz's kind of best rounds were kind of the midway. Now Usyk, go look at Chisora, they were his best rounds. So for me, I definitely think he'll step on the gas in between them rounds. And if AJ is, you know, kind of already in conservation mode, I don't want to say survival mode, you know, like stamina conservation mode, could easily see Usyk taking over and maybe getting the drop, or who knows, stranger things have happened. I wouldn't rule out Usyk by stoppage at all. In fact, I think it's more likely Usyk wins by stoppage than he does on points. Draw, AJ KO, okay. Usyk will school him over 12 rounds. That's interesting. We'll see. AJ by devastating KO. The devastating KO one, if Usyk gets stopped, I think it could be a stoppage on his feet. AJUD, I'm thinking that myself, mate. AJUD will be my pick, even if AJ's arms and legs are. Yeah, we've seen him get some. Even the fights he's got stoppages in the scorecards have been ridiculous. Usyk getting robbed. Like, that's one thing I do hope we don't see. Like, if we see a robbery, I really hope we don't see that. Gee, man, thank God and God bless every time. Man, big up every time. And if I missed anyone's checks, I've seen a few chats I missed. I might go back to them in a wee bit, but it was like by close UD. Blunt, Ruiz, Wilder would have been awesome. Yeah, I would favor Wilder in that fight, mate, personally. I think just Ruiz is a bit too easy to hit. He'd walk onto a right hand sooner or later. AJ by robbery. The general consensus is AJ win. I've seen a lot of people say robbery. I could see anything other than AJ KO. Oh, AJ KO. AJ KO for me, especially if Usyk comes in heavy. Yeah, if Usyk, you know, I'll probably do my prediction in advance of this, but it could change based upon the weigh-in. Like, if I hear the word Oleksandr Usyk weighs 233 pounds, then I'm just going to be like, oh, AJ's got this. AJ's got this. AJ's got that. AJ to join Usyk within 6. Okay. Quite apart from the judges being pro AJ, Usyk is busy enough to win on points. Yeah, exactly there. AJ could, like, Usyk could easily outwork AJ, outland him, do a lot of things, but it's just the judges, and you gotta, you know, way some of these judges can be. Should be seen at the weekend. Will I get a studio like Ade? Maybe someday, mate. Not right now. I can't afford it. Well, I say I can't, but it's not a viable option right now to get a studio. And as well as that, like, if I was to get a studio, I wouldn't get one here in Ireland, because if I was to get a studio, the idea would be that I'd get people on as well. You know, obviously I do my own videos, but I'd like to have people in there as well. And who am I really going to get in Ireland to go on with me, mate? To be honest with you, I'd need something in the UK. But it's something I thought about. It's not an option now, mate, to be honest with you. Maybe in like 2 years time, who knows? But for now, definitely not an option. But you never know. Stranger things have happened, mate. Stranger things have happened. Can see it being a draw. Someone asked me about the crime channel. Where is it? Next crime video. Friday, mate. Friday. It's just been a bit hectic. I haven't had a chance, because those crime videos take a while to make. They take an actual long time to make. So this Friday, I will have one out for you guys. The crime channel is good. I love doing the crime channel. Big up G-Man. New here. Got your channel from Hatman. Do you think Fury is faking that? Yeah, of course he is. Yeah, of course he is, man. Definitely. For reasons, what I've heard is, right, and I've heard this rumor from a few people, is that the Jared Anderson spar was quite tough, and Bob Armour even said it, and that a lot of people are saying that, you know, he just wants that little bit more time to get a bit of ring rust off, you know, just extend it out, you know, get the you know, camp under wrapped, and then take it. But in terms of that, mate, like I don't buy that for a second. Not a chance. Not a chance, man. Literally just no way. G-Man, do you think something is up with White in the British Boxing Board of Control? He refused to arrive back in the UK in time to fight Povetkin, and now he's in the States instead of UK or pay-per-view in the UK. I'm thinking he's got legal issues. When's the last time Dylan White? No, he did fight in the UK against Povetkin in the first fight. It's an interesting one. I know in Portugal a lot of things are allowed over there that aren't allowed in the UK, so it's a weird one. But I don't know. It is kind of strange when you think about it. Eddie Hearn wants to take him on the road. What's going on in the UK? Legal issues, don't know about that. I mean, I wouldn't rule it out. Stranger things have happened. Dylan White definitely is he's a fiery character, to say the least. That is Dylan White in a nutshell. Like, he is not someone who, I think I've said it before, Dylan White walk into a room full of mirrors, he'll start a row with himself. He's just that kind of person. Ayrton Senna equals God. Yeah, I love Senna. I was always a Schumacher fan, though. Like, I love Michael Schumacher. Just never been a big Lewis Hamilton fan. Get in there, Lewis. Yeah, big up to Mad Chat, by the way. Shout out to Mad Chat. Where are we at? Because I always do this. I end up like missing shitloads of chats, getting like sidetracked. Where are we? Yo, big up to Stella. Evening, gents. Big up, G-Man. Yo, big up to Stella. What did you say? Usyk is no fool. Let's not forget. Usyk is undefeated, undisputed, will move, and has the movement advantage as the smaller fighter. Yes, he does. And bear in mind, right, even if Usyk comes in significantly heavier than we're used to seeing him, he will still have an advantage in movement over Anthony Joshua. He will. You know, that'll still be there, but it just won't be as apparent, if you know what I mean, as it would be, you know, if he was significantly lighter, like in the 2 teens. Yo, shout out to Graham Coleman every time, man. Big up to you, my man. Is it Germany is where you are? Over there? Well, big up to you, man, every time. I hope you're keeping well, my man. I really do. Usyk will need a KO. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people say that now. And like, I put it like this, right? I would have no problem saying Usyk will win on points. I could see like Usyk doing enough to win enough rounds. He could win 7 rounds. But would judges give him 7 rounds? I don't know. Once you hit 20, 25K, you should definitely get a studio. Yeah, I think that'd be kind of the number that I'd be looking at to kind of convince me to get like a studio or something like that. But as I said, mate, even if I hit 25K by the end of the year, and stranger things have happened, make no mistake about it, but if it did, again, like maybe here, but like where I live in Dublin, there probably ain't many studios. And if I wanted people over, you know, like let's just say like I wanted to get like a fighter to interview, like it's easier if you're in like somewhere like London, because it's loads of things happen in London. Dublin, like what fighter's going to come to Dublin for no reason, you know? What crime channel? So yeah, I have a crime channel that is getting a new video this Friday. Pop that in the chat for you there. It's down the bottom. So where is it? Crime channel is there. It's just called G-Man Talks Crime, and I love doing it. It's good fun. But yeah, I've just been doing a lot of research on crime. Basically, it's fun to watch. I've got an interesting guy from America this weekend, but yeah, this Friday. It's actually quite a recent crime as well, by a guy who really. So some of these really, when you research these, right, and you research some of these criminals, some of them I already knew, like Gacy is the last guy I did, but some of them you've only heard of. And when you really delve in and research it, you're just like, what the hell? You know, what the hell? G-Man, love the true crime, John Wayne Gacy. Yeah, Gacy's an interesting character. He really is. he really, to me, Gacy, there's no question as far as I'm concerned that he was looked after by God knows who, but he was definitely looked after because the stuff he was able to get away with, like, it wasn't just the fact that he was killing people. He was literally, doing horrific things to some of them and letting them go. And they were going to the police and saying, that's the guy who did it. And nothing was being done about it. It was absolutely crazy. Yeah, I used to think Ainsley Harriott was a boxer. Yeah, big up to Ainsley Harriott, best avatar. I actually can change that. I might change to something else. What do we got? What do we fancy? Do you know when Eddie Hearn said he's not going to do any more pay-per-views? That's what he said. Have you heard of Chris Watt? He'd be a good one. Joe, man, I already done Chris Watt. I think he was like he was the one I done straight after Philpott. So yeah, he's on I already done Chris Watt. Yeah, he was a fun little he was an idiot, that guy. That guy was a guy who had there are people out there who would kill for what he had. And he just threw that all away. But he was psychopathic, man. That guy had no remorse, no empathy. I would see someone's comment about Mick Philpott there. I would go as far as saying, what's more dangerous than Mick Philpott? Because Philpott, you see him coming, he's a scumbag. But someone like Chris Watt, who's so quiet and reserved, and this is a guy who had no sympathy, no empathy. And I think, like, with Philpott, yeah, he done what he did to his family. Obviously for YouTube, I can't go in as much as I want to. But what Philpott did to his family was horrific. But I think what Watts did was worse. The way he did it was just crazy. It's just been crazy. Who's that Tyen Boot? Who's the guy Tyen Boot was slagging off in his latest video? The one who Tyen Boot says has been calling him out. What's he been saying about the YB? YB. I don't watch YB, mate, to be honest with you. I've had a few of his videos come up in my suggestions, all right, but I've never really watched them. Tyen Boot's live streams. Yeah. Every time I donate, someone actually fucking commented, like, because Tyen Boot is always like, yo, G man, how much money you got? You're always donating to my lives, right? And someone actually messaged, well, didn't message, they commented on a video being like, don't give Tyen Boot money anymore. You shouldn't give him money. Like, it's a fucking $5. Like, if I can't give someone who entertains me a fucking $5, that I'm doing bad for myself, aren't I? So I actually thought that was fucking crazy. When someone was like, don't give Tyen Boot money, I was like, it's a fucking $5, mate. Seriously. I can afford a $5 to give to someone who entertains me. Can you go into your alcohol theory further? What it makes people act the way they do? Yeah, so a theory I have on alcohol, right? Now it's a bit of an out there theory, right? I think that alcohol, because you ever hear the way you see people change complete personalities under alcohol? So you see people who they literally become like two different people. I've heard other people say this as well, is that they actually believe that alcohol makes, how do you describe it? Kind of the unseen. Do you want to call it that? I know Aleister Crowley used to talk about this. It makes it easier for them to kind of, I don't want to get into your head per se, but maybe that's the way I want to say it. I remember Hatman talked about this a couple of years ago. I think me and him actually spoke about it once. And he was saying the same, is that he finds that, like, when you see people with alcohol, they are like different people. And when you hear people who've had drugs like LSD and they say they've seen things, they've seen this, that, and the other, it kind of does make you think it's kind of similar. Now, I could be completely off topic. I could be completely off with that. But I remember when I heard that theory, the first time I ever heard that theory was about 4 years ago. And I heard that was saying on a Thursday. And I was out with my friends on the Saturday. And instantly after hearing that, I did not want to drink. Like, they bought me a drink and I was like, nope, I don't want it. I was like, I don't want it. Instantly after hearing that. Now, obviously, since then, I've had drinks before. But since then, I've never really got drunk since then. It's always been on my mind. It's weird. But that's the theory I have there. Could be a million miles off, but hey, Big up the G-Man and the whole chat. There you go, man. There you go. And 37. Did I say? Oh, I didn't. I thought I said big up the G-Man. Now, big up to Nick and 37 in the chat. 41 in the chat. If you could smash the like button, really does help you boy out. Helps me out big time. Gets me suggested up in the YouTube algorithms. Is YB on an object? To be honest with you, I've not really watched many of his channels, to be honest with you. Like, I don't know. Like, I can't say for argument's sake, I don't know what he does. I know of his channel, it's bigger than mine. It's like 20-something thousand subscribers, but like, I think I watched one of his videos and I was just like, all right, not really for me, because I don't watch many boxing YouTubers, to be honest with you. You know, nothing against any of them. It's just that there's some I just find more entertaining than others, and there's some I can just relate to a little bit more. So I just will watch and I'll be like, okay, maybe not really for me, so I'll watch something else. But yeah, I know him and Tyen Boot have been having a lot of back and forths. He's a bit of a knob, but funny of his point of view. Yeah, like I don't think I've watched really any of his videos, to be honest with you, man. The YB, apparently he's from Devon, wherever that is. It's in the UK, obviously, but I don't know whereabouts. Apparently he's from Devon, yeah. I've watched so many true crime. You know, they do say true crime video, or people who love true crime or crime stories are a lot more empathetic. It's a weird one. Gacy didn't kill alone. Policeman killed alongside him. Oh, he definitely didn't. I mean, people said that about Gacy, you know, in his trial. I think one of the victims even said that Gacy wasn't alone. So we know, but I mean, Gacy obviously didn't want to say what was going on, you know. Big up, man. Was that Tyrone? MTK Tyrone? Tyrone. Oh, you mean Tyen has been getting lit up by the YB lately? Yeah. I had to think there when you said that. I was like, who the hell is that? I was like, Tyrone McKenna? No, he means Tyen Boot. Yeah, it's a funny one. I seen someone actually put G-Man versus, where the hell was that? Someone, I definitely thought I saw someone put that in the chat, like G-Man versus YB. Ain't gonna happen. But there it is. I want to see if I can create a YB versus G-Man beef. I ain't gonna get no beef started here, man. I ain't gonna get no beef started here. Well, YB does his own thing. I'm more a fan of, when it comes to funny video, like funny guys on YouTube, I like to watch. Tyen Boo for me is funny as hell. Like, I could watch his live streams the whole way through, no questions asked. I'll laugh my little heart out the whole way through. I think his are funny as hell. You know, Echo Falls throwing him under the bus. You know, and actually, funny enough, I still have never tried it, but after them not sponsoring him, I was like, nah, fuck that. I ain't got to go for that Echo Falls crap. You know, shout out to Intangible. Big up to you, man. Every time. Salute to Intangible. Shout out to Intangible every time. I seen someone ask me earlier in the chat about Joyce versus that lad, Takam. Man, that's going to be a hell of a fight. That's going to be a good little scrap. Takam he'll come to make it a go. Raw beef. Yeah, like Coogan. Raw beef. You know, G-Man just has a little chat about YB and they put raw beef in the quotation, yeah. Oh, man. IFL. Those guys, they really do love the... What was it? Was it Daniel Dubois or something? Where he mentioned... And it wasn't even... What was it he said? He didn't even mention the guy, or he only just mentioned it. Was it Dylan White? And he, you know, Daniel Dubois, just, I think he said, like, oh, yeah, Dylan White. And they were just like, yeah, raw beef. Daniel Dubois calls out Dylan White. It's crazy. Tyen Boot still interested. Yeah, I know, man. It's fucking... It's funny when he does that. Because you think, like I don't mind. Like, I think you weren't here when I told that story. After he done that live stream, was it Sunday? Yeah, was it? No, Monday. When I gave him the £5 and he was like, yo, G-Man, you always donate. I mean, you've got the bag, which I thought was hilarious. But someone, some fucker commented on my video and was like, don't give Tyen Boot money. You know, what are you giving him money for? You know, F you, basically. I was like, mate, it's a $5. It's a fucking $5. Like, it's hardly going to break the bank. I don't mind giving like someone I like or someone who entertains me money. Like if it's a fucking fiver, like it's hardly the be all and end all. The YB Billy Joe Saunders series of 30 videos is YouTube overkill. Did he do like 30 videos on bit? Like I'll have to have a look at YB, to be honest with you. I'll have to have a look at this YB guy's channel because it's not a channel I've really ever. I think I've glanced at it for like, maybe one or two videos, and I've seen a few videos get suggested to me, but it's like I said, I don't religiously watch a lot of these YouTubers, like guys like Blue Collar Sports, like Dell. I watch all of his videos, Mark or Intangible. I watch Intangible's videos, or Love Boxing TV if they're still on the chat. I watch their videos, but like put it like this, right? I think I could probably count on, and I've nothing against this guy either, by the way. So don't think I'm hating on this guy, but you could probably count on one hand the amount of times I've watched the Sporting Icons video. And I got nothing against Sporting Icons. Some of the videos are very good, but it's just I don't watch that many boxing YouTubers, to be honest with you. I watch Ade, Hatman, guys like that. Like pretty much Ade and Hatman were the two guys I watched from the get-go. Like I remember I found, who the hell is this guy? I love Joshua. Oh my God, okay. Boxing Finesse. Yeah, Boxing Finesse is better make sure he never sees AJ in real life. God knows what might happen. Boxing Finesse is Boxing Finesse a lad or is he a lassie? Because if it's a lassie, then yeah, maybe I can understand why they're saying that. Do you think Sky HBO partnership will be? You mean the Zone? Because HBO long gone, man. They're long gone. And I miss HBO. They were the shit back in the day. I used to love watching HBO. HBO were they were brilliant to watch. But I definitely think that the Zone. Oh, you mean that's what you mean. You mean Top Rank. It's not HBO, it's Top Rank. Could be. Crawford's pay-per-view is at 4 a.m. No thanks. Yeah, I'd be a very, very, very surprised if Sky did Terence Crawford on pay-per-view. Although they put Postal versus Crawford on pay-per-view all them years ago. Larry Top Rank. Yeah, I was wondering when you said HBO, I was like, what? They're long gone. The YB killed Billy Joe's credibility forever. G-Man, will Takam go for Joyce like he did Chisora? Oh, I think that he'd be well advised not to, because he'd be walking into a brick wall if he did that against Joe Joyce. Joe, put it like this, right? Takam against AJ. He might think AJ is strong or was strong, but mark my words, he will know what a strong fighter is when he gets in there with Joe Joyce, because Joe Joyce is probably one of the only fighters in the world who I believe could actually ragdoll Carlos Takam. And Carlos Takam is as strong as they come. Takam is a harder fight for Joyce than most think. Stylistically wrong for Joyce, but over the hill so Joyce can win. I definitely think you're right there. Takam has seen better days. But even if this was the Takam who fought AJ, I'd still be heavily favouring Joe Joyce. This was the Takam who fought Povetkin, I'd still be favouring Joe Joyce, to be honest with you. I suspect that Takam will really see how over the hill he is now. I think that this is when we'll see how far gone. Now, he might not be far gone, but he's only had, 2, maybe 3 fights since the loss to Chisora. I think 2. Because he fought, what's the guy's name? Oh, Gashi. He fought Senna Gashi. And then he fought Jerry Forrest. I don't think he's fought since. Yeah, I don't think he's fought since then. No one ever calls for Joyce. No one ever calls out Joyce or Hrgovic. Yeah, Hrgovic is going to be, he really is a who needs him kind of guy. You know that? He really is. He really is a kind of guy where it's like, oh, we don't, yeah, we'll do without him, thanks, unless we have to. Khan says he has one more fight left, Kell Brook or another Billy Dib. He made a bag. against Billy Dib. And that whole show was funny. Like, that show was actually a funny little show for what it was. But he made a killing against Billy Dib. Against Kell Brook, both guys are over the hill. But that might make it interesting. That both guys are so over the hill. Even now, I probably would still pick Kell Brook to win that fight, to be honest with you. Even still now, I'd pick Kell Brook to win that fight. But both guys are absolutely finished at this stage. Jethro thinks Takam by decision. Can't see that, mate, at all. Takam by decision? Oh, I ain't seeing that. JD, the YB is a top 3 boxing trainer in the UK. You guys don't know what you're talking about. Look, I don't know. I don't watch many of his videos, man. I'll tell you what I'll do. When I finish this stream, although I have to make a video for tomorrow, but when I finish this stream, I'll go and have a look at a couple of YB's videos. Maybe I'm just not. Maybe I didn't watch the right ones. Jimmy, we can't underestimate AJ's power. Usyk has not been hit on the chin with AJ's power and speed. No, that's true. He hasn't. So we need to see how that goes. But I suspect Usyk does take a good shot. The fact that he was able to take a couple of shots from the third round of the Gassiev fight took a flush right hand from Gassiev. Gassiev's best punch is his left hook. But Gassiev can punch with the best of them. Make no mistake about that. So if he's taking Gassiev's power, he could be all right. Certainly. No. Jesus, no. Big up to Unrivaled. Shout out to Mark every time. Joyce on late or on points. Tough fight. It's interesting. Am I the only one who thinks that this fight is going to be straightforward for Joyce? If I'm wrong, so be it. But am I wrong in thinking it's going to be a straightforward enough fight for Joe Joyce? Well, we will see Saturday night. It'd be fun. We'll have a good chat about this. A special one saying, people have been saying shit about that for the last, 2 years? So I'm used to all that, man, about the knees. And it hasn't changed yet. It ain't going to change anytime soon. Takam has head movement, unlike Dubois. Dubois was winning on the digital scorecard. Yeah, he was. I couldn't see that. I'm sure I heard YB reference to G-Man as Goofy Don, really. Look, man, I don't get into any of that crap, to be honest with you, about this guy said or this guy. It just doesn't bother me. I make my videos, let the comment section do its thing, and then do these streams. That's it, really. Joyce and 8 for me. I don't see Takam. Yeah, me and you both. I don't think I don't see Takam having too much. He might have some success, but I can't see anything other than the Joe Joyce straightforward enough beat the crap out of Carlos Takam. Takam is physically strong, very good head movement. That is one thing about Takam, very good body puncher. Takam's uppercut is not bad either. I see AJ was getting a bit uncomfy at times with that uppercut in their fight. Joyce will win, late stoppage. The BT card isn't bad this weekend, to be fair. A couple of good fights on the undercard. Yeah. This one actually is one of the very few Frank Warren cards that you look at and you think, you know what? Yeah, this is a good little scrap. Remember, this weekend was meant to be AJ Fury, or not AJ Fury. It was meant to be what was it? Wilder versus Fury. There's a few guys on there. Sam Noakes, he's looking good. David Adelaide. Now he got a gift, I thought, over Kamil Sakalowski. I thought he should be rematching him. James Beach versus Chris Burke. That's a good fight. Looking forward to this guy, Hazam Seriri. Is that how you pronounce it? He's looking not too bad. He's a super welterweight. He's not looking too bad at all. Was it him who fought? No, it was someone else. But I've seen him fight. He's all right. And obviously Chris Jenkins. Now, Chris Jenkins has been out of the ring for a while, but Chris Jenkins is a good fighter. I'll be looking forward to seeing how he gets on defending the British title. And he's defending the Commonwealth title as well. So it's not a bad little scrap back. It's not a bad card. Be safe. Yeah, be safe. Yeah, be safe. I have a be safe t-shirt. Not wearing it now, but I have one. G-Man, do you think the whole Kinahan MTK controversy, well, what do I think of it? Not sure if you saw it. I never watched it, mate, to be honest with you, but I mean, they were acting like what it's new that, you know, basically, you know, mafias, cartels a bit in boxing. Well, that's not exactly new. You know, the history of boxing's been full of it. I mean, go back in time to the 30s. How many? You can go back on BoxRec and look up guys like Primo Carnera, Young Strebel, guys like that, and it says it under a lot of their fights. This fight was probably fixed. You know, it's always been like that. You know, so that's why I find it amazing. And I find that they had Barry McGuigan of all people, fucking Barry McGuigan, like a guy who's been in court with fighters for him ripping them off, you know, being holier than thou, saying, "Oh yeah, they shouldn't be here." Like what? Come on, man. Another broken eye socket on Joyce's record. Yep, the eye basher, Joe Joyce, the juggernaut. G-Man, where do you rate Gastia's punching power? I reckon, honestly, he could be one of the, I don't want to say top 5 just yet, but he could be in the top 10 of heavyweight punchers. People who sparred Gassiev, I forget who was it? Who was it who said that he's been in the ring with several top heavyweights and he said Gassiev, a cruiserweight, hit him harder. You know, Gassiev's punching power. Abel Sanchez, right? You criticize him if you want, but he seems to. I noticed it with Joe Joyce when Joe Joyce was training with him, that Joe Joyce seems to be hitting harder with Abel Sanchez. I reckon Abel Sanchez teaches them fighters how to punch as hard as he can because he seems to always have very good punchers. And Gassiev, when he turned over, look at his record. He wasn't knocking a lot of guys out when he turned over pro. That just gradually came about. And I think working with Abel Sanchez has helped him out tremendously. You know, you can't turn Paulie Malignaggi into, you know, Deontay Wilder or someone like that, but you can improve it, certainly. G-Man defending MTK. Ah, jeez, man. Nothing against them. Never paid me, but nothing against them. They've never done me wrong. Jennings almost folded Joyce in half with a body shot. Remember that? That was a weakness people said about Joe Joyce. We've seen a weakness in him. G-Man has been boasted about, we're taller than Carl Frampton, Mike Conlon, the beginning of G-Man is dating. What's her name? Vonda Ward? Her name definitely ain't Vonda. Definitely ain't that. You got Ezerman springing the upset on points against. I've seen him before. You know, I remember his fight against was it Tyrone Nurse? Nurse ain't anything to write home about. I seen the Payne fight actually as well. He's okay, Joe. I think the inactivity is going to kill Jenkins, though. That's the one thing about Jenkins I think is going to kill him, is the inactivity. Jack Dempsey would go 4 days without a meal before he fought. Very dangerous, man. Yeah, Dempsey. I love Jack Dempsey, man. Jack Dempsey is one of my favorites. So he was. Used to love just the stories about him, and you know, the guy was vicious. When do you normally do lives, G-Man? You know, I used to do them quite regularly up until about kind of middle of May, and then I just kind of took a break, like from doing the lives regularly, and just kind of just kick back and just do the normal videos. But right now, I'm gonna try and get back to the 2 a week. I used to normally do 2 a week, and it's just time wise. You see, back then we were in the middle of a goddamn lockdown, so I had plenty of time to do things. Whereas now, it's a little bit less straightforward, you know, and other things came up as well. So now I don't have as much time, but I'm trying to make time again to do 2 a week. You know, the other channel is taking up a lot of the time as well, just doing the research for it as well. So we shall see. Do you think White should stick to WBC route after all this time? I think he's good. I think it's one of those occasions, man, where he's gone down that road for so long. There's no point turning back now. You know, I think he could pretty much see the exit. I don't think there's any point turning that now. I'm just saying, gone off streaming at the minute. I got to be in the mood. Yeah, you see, that's the thing as well, man. Like, there are times where, like, in a day, I really do be thinking, will I go and do a stream? And even if I have the time, I'm just like, by the time I do this and I record another video, I'm just like, no, I'll just do the video and I'll do the stream some other time. That's the way I be. You really need to be in the mood to do a stream as well. You really need to be in the mood to do a stream. I wouldn't go that far, but that does take up a lot of time as well. I wouldn't go that far saying it's that. But yeah, that's the thing about them. But it does be fun to get an hour in, an hour and a bit in of just chatting. I think as well as that, right? We haven't had much, like, in terms of boxing news and big fights, kind of like the end of May till like kind of now, there's not been that many fights happening. You know, there's not been a massive amount to talk about. So when I'm doing streams, sometimes I like look at this. I like to have something there ready to go to talk about. So for me, I kind of rather do these when I know I have something that I can keep it going with, not just chuck one up for the sake of it. Saw your comment on the McGregor video the other week. A lot of Irish fighters find him over the top. Interested in your views. Yeah, I think the first time I ever seen McGregor was like 2013. And he was actually on a talk show in Ireland here. And I just kind of thought, like, he just straight away, I was just like, not really my type of guy. And you know, in Ireland, there's this thing where if someone is winning, irrespective of like whether they're a good person or not, you just get behind them. You know, that's one of the reasons why I get a lot of stick, you know, on of Irish people basically, because whenever you have someone like an Irish fighter who's in a big fight or something like that, more often than not, I pick against them. And I'm not doing it because I don't like them. I'm doing it because I just don't think they're good enough. And like I've had so many people like message me on Twitter and say like, you should be favoring the Irish fighter. Like, you're from there. Why aren't you being patriotic? It's like, what does me having to come from the same country have to do with him who I think will win a fight? You know, is he good enough to win? No. Would I pick him to win? No. So I'm not gonna. Oh, but he's from your country. Like, I don't give a shit. If he's from my country, he's not good enough to win, so he's not gonna win. Facts. In terms of McGregor, anyone I ever met, like in say 2014, 2015, loved him. After he started losing, a lot of his popularity went. The people now who still back him, they're not exactly nice guys. I'll put it to you like that. They're not nice people, a lot of them. So McGregor, he was kind of one of them guys where people. The funny thing is, right, when he was winning, people used to come out and say, "Oh yeah, we know he's a dick. We know he's not nice, but he's winning, so we follow him." And then we started losing. Those people who were supporting to the hilt, they just kind of went their separate way thereafter. You know. So that's my thoughts on that. Fantasy matchup: Mike Tyson versus David Tua. Who you got? Obviously, you got to be Mike Tyson if you're talking prime for prime. Yeah, big up to Love Boxing TV. Good night, chaps. Keep up the good work, G-Man. Big up to you, man. You too. But back to that, yeah, Mike Tyson, definitely. Now, David Tua was a great fighter. He really was. But, man, Mike Tyson, what can you say? Like, I love watching, like, even though Mike Tyson, I never seen him live ever. But, man, I love Mike Tyson. What was Joe saying there? This comment had to be thing. For a supposed big cheese in combat sports, Conor McGregor sure spends a lot of time having yeah. Yeah, he's what, like, in the last, 5 years, he's won, one fight? One fight in around that? 54 in the chat. Lads and lasses, if you could, because I'm going to do in about another 10 minutes. If you could, smash the like button. Last time I'll ask. It helps this channel out so much. Helps it grow. Gets it recommended in the algorithms and, you know, makes it just easier for people to find it. Helps it grow as well, you know. So if you could, I'd really Really, really appreciate that. Really. Dubois, Yoka, Ajagba, and Jared Anderson. Who, in your opinion, do you see having the best shot at becoming world champion? Out of all the names, I would say Jared Anderson has impressed me. That whoa, someone's just giving me 20 quid. I will get back to that, but give me 2 secs. I have to big up whoever gave me that. And it wasn't Nick, you're a great lad, but it wasn't you. No offense. Oh, shout out to Karma. Big up to you every time. Thank you so much for that. Seriously, I appreciate that so much. 20 quid, fuck. Appreciate that. Thank you so much for that. Missed the notification. Good evening, good afternoon. It's 9:30 here, so it's technically good evening. Lads and lassies, have a good one, G man. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that so much, man. Man, you are a legend. Thank you, Karma. Appreciate that. Appreciate that, my dear. Appreciate that so much. Love your channel. Thank you. Yeah, no. I remember you commented on my review of the week and you were saying you were dying to see mine and Chris's. I was actually talking to Chris on Twitter last night. Chris Andre, big up to him. So hopefully he'll get some of his videos out this week because I've missed Chris's videos. You know, big up to Chris Andre as well. Big up to Chris Andre. I know. YouTube will take YouTube. I think the last time Karma gave me 20 quid, I think I came out serious. I think I came out about 9 quid. I hope that doesn't like make you wish you hadn't done it now. But I think it came out with like they do. But look, the thought that counts. The thought that counts, and the fact you've done that is just that's spot on. I really appreciate that. Salute to G-Man. Salute to G-Man. I will now. Actually, I promise I will read this because I kind of threw you under the bus there, mate, for that super chat. So I'll go back. Yeah, Jared Anderson, in my opinion, stands the best shot of becoming world champion out of them. I would say as well, Tony Yoka as well. Tony Yoka as well. I like what I'm seeing from Tony Yoka, but I think he needs to step up. He needs to step up. But I did. I went back to it. I didn't throw you under the bus. I thought about it, but then I pulled you back. You know, not like that. Of course, fair play. No, big up. Big up. Yeah, 30%. 30%, 32%. At the end of the day, it's the thought that counts, man. So, and I don't do it for the money anyway. Like, I appreciate it all, but it's the thought that counts. So, look, I'm happy, to be honest with you, man. Like, if someone gave me like 5 quid and YouTube took 30%, that's what someone's gonna have to help me with that. But it'll say €2. Hey, it's €2 I didn't have. You know, it is. It's €2 I didn't have yesterday. So I'm happy. I'm happy either way. What fighter got you into boxing? I always say, right, my little story with boxing is kind of cliche, but then again, it's different in a sense. So, 2 fighters, Canelo and Muhammad Ali. So, Muhammad Ali, right? I didn't watch Muhammad Ali for his fights. My friend used to show me clips of Muhammad Ali when I was like 18, 19. And I'd watch snippets of boxing over the years, but never religiously. And what my friend used to do was he would show me clips of Muhammad Ali trash talking because he was just funny. So I would watch Muhammad Ali trash talk. And then I knew obviously who Muhammad Ali was. But I said, I want to watch some of his fights. And I started watching some of his fights. And then I was kind of like, oh, so I knew he was retired long. And then I was like, well, who is around now? So who's around now I can watch? I've heard about Floyd Mayweather. I'd heard about like Ricky Hatton. Well, I knew who they were. So I knew Ricky Hatton was he retired at the time? No, he wasn't retired, but he was damn near retired. And I remember, I think the first real kind of big fight I watched was Canelo versus Lopez. And I loved the style of Canelo. So I ended up just watching a lot of his fights. And that was kind of how I started. So I watched a lot of old heavyweights. If you ever watched the documentary When We Were Kings, oh my God, if you've never, that's one of my favorite boxing documentaries, When We Were Kings. It's well worth a watch. I watched that. Watched Joe Lewis, American Hero, Betray It, and then that's when I started watching like normal, like kind of modern boxing at the time was about 2012. So yeah, that's the kind of story about me and boxing, basically. 60 in the building, yeah, man. If you build it, they'll come. Check Collins, appreciate the £2. Paul Sapa 4 had fought Leonard Duran. Who wins? Paul Sapa, that name doesn't ring a bell. That name don't ring a bell, man. Oh, if he had fought, I was like, you said he had fought him there. I was like, what? I was like, what are you on about? Leonard Duran. I've seen him fight. He's the guy who fought Arturo Gatti when he was knocked out badly by a body shot. Badly by a body shot. The name Paul Summer rings a bell. Who is he again? Because his name rings a bell. I just can't remember who he is or where I've seen him from. I know the name does ring a bell. Both names ring a bell, but I know more so of Leonard Duran because he got knocked out badly by Gatti with a body shot. But Paul Summer, that was his last fight, actually, I think. As well. That was definitely his last fight. Super sticker. Try again. Because it doesn't show it on StreamYard, but it shows on the thing. Try again. Hey, I'll take it, man. I appreciate that. Try again. Oh, yeah, I remember. His name rings a bell now. That was when, I remember they were saying Floyd Mayweather was out of shape in that fight, but still, I remember that. I remember actually the stories about that. I remember Mayweather, there was an Irish guy who was an amateur who went into Mayweather's gym who broke one of his ribs. I can't remember the guy's name, but apparently there was an Irish guy who cracked one of Mayweather's ribs in sparring. Do you think it's fully? No. I think that this fight will do him the world of good if he beats him. It'll go a long way towards it, but we'll need to wait and see. I don't think he is, though. How can you be highly disinterested? Highly disinterested? What do you mean, like highly disinterested? I think you're either interested or you're not. I think it's always been the way. You're kind of either interested or you're not. In response to the comment about Leonard Duran, I've seen Leonard Duran fight a couple of times, and Paul Satterford. I think if I have seen him, I've only ever seen one. I would probably say Leonard Duran because he's been in there with some tricky customers. I'd probably lean towards Duran in that fight because he's been in with some tricky guys. Now he fought the Drunken Master. Emmanuel. What was his name again? It was Emmanuel something. What was his name? The Drunken Master. The guy Floyd Augustus. Floyd Mayweather fought. Joshua win by late. I'll be with the will. 8 or 9, 10. See? Finally got a PS5. I want to get one this year. At some point. Good evening to J Zone. Man, I am missing loads of these. The Mayweather-Pacquiao fight took the air of the box. I wonder if Ada Fiasco's doing the same. Certainly his interest levels are high right now. That's where that came from. I think we all knew the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight was never going to be amazing. All right, I think we all knew that. I think we all knew that was going to happen. In terms of what it did, I think that a lot of casual fans bought that thinking it was going to be a war, thinking they were going to, and like it didn't help that you see, I remember Mike Tyson gave an interview, right, in the lead up to that fight, and he was like, there'll be a knockout in this fight. There'll definitely be a knockout. There was never going to be a knockout in that fight. I never could have seen a knockout happen in that fight. So I think a lot of the casuals were like, oh, one's going to win by knockout, definitely. And I think when it was just a pure boxing match, that was, people looked at that and thought, oh, we've stayed up until the middle of the night for this. And it wasn't even like it was a really close fight. Like Floyd won the fight, clearly. I wouldn't rush on these. Yeah, big up to all them in the chat. Big up to everyone in the chat. Appreciate it. He pissed a lot of his talent away at one life. He was looking at life for shooting his wife. Jesus. You see that with fighters, though. You see it with good fighters who piss away a lot of their talent. Like Tyrell Biggs is a good example of a fighter with a lot of talent who he was doomed from day one. You know, Tyrell Biggs had the movement and the ability to maybe not dominate the heavyweight division, but to do something in it. But he was on a 15 grand. I don't know. He was on a 1,500 a day. Was it crack he was smoking, or was it crack he was on? So there's always been occasions where fighters have pissed their talent away. You know, some fighters are so extremely talented that they can get around it, but it comes back to bite a lot of them. You know, it comes back to bite a lot of them. I seen someone say James Toney, perfect example. You know, James Toney, tremendously naturally talented, one of the best of all time. And there you go, you know. He ended, look at him now, you know. And at the end of the day, there are other fighters who certain losses really took it out of them. And I don't mean, well, in terms of physically, yeah, but in terms of everything. Like, look at his name is Montel Griffin after the first Chavez fight. He really should have won that fight. They stopped the fight with the last. They would have won a split decision. And although he took an absolute beating, and he did, he deserved to have that fight. He deserved to win that fight, and he didn't get it. You know, a hell of a fight. I've watched that fight so many times that it's crazy. Big love the crack he did. You know, and he made fights way hard. Like, he'd no killer instinct, Tyrell Biggs. I remember he fought. Oh, what was his name? What was the guy's name? He ended up going to a decision. What's his name? I'll check it here because that's going to piss me off. Because I remember he was a contender. He wasn't. He was a kind of fringe contender. What was his name? Was it Bernardo? No, it wasn't Bernardo Machado. It was. Oh, fuck, that's annoying me now. It was. He fought that he ended up dropping the guy, and he dropped him heavily, like really, really heavily, and he couldn't do anything. He couldn't like finish him. So thereafter, he ended up going and having a really, really tough fight. Really tough. Who was the guy? Tyrell Biggs. That's going to piss me off not knowing who that was, because I remember it. The knockdown was really heavy, and he didn't do anything with it, and he ended up going and getting a really tough fight. Who was it? Was it Ronaldo Snipes? That was it. Ronaldo Snipes. He dropped Ronaldo Snipes in 3 rounds, and it was a bad knockdown. It was a really heavy knockdown, and he just didn't do anything. And he ended up going to points with Snipes. And if you go on Box Rec and look, it was close. I mean, that knockdown kind of really done him the fight. But Biggs was tremendously talented, but you know, what trainer would you pick for Parker to force him to be more aggressive if everyone was available? Maybe Teddy Atlas. You know, I like Andy Lee. I do like Andy Lee. He is a good guy, and he's a good, like, I do believe he'll be a good trainer, but he's very calm. You know, he is a very calm, you know, type of guy. And I think that with Parker, maybe he would benefit from a more loud, kind of, you know, abrasive kind of character in the corner, if you know what I mean. And someone like him, maybe that would be what Joseph Parker needs, as opposed to, you know, an Andy Lee who was nice and mellow. Yeah, he's got a good boxing brain, but he's just all right, with just nice and mellow, and you know, someone like that. One of the biggest weight talents I've ever seen is Francesco Biagio. I'd have put a year's wage on the kid becoming world champion. Ended up nothing. Yeah, he retired after he lost to not Steve Rolls. What's the guy's name? Steve. De La Hoya fought him. What's his name? Forbes. Heath Ledger's Joker wanted to see a prime Tyson 2.0. I don't think we'll ever see another Mike Tyson, to be honest with you, May. I think Tyson's a once off. I think that we may see a short heavyweight come about who has similar traits to Tyson, a bit like Povetkin. But I don't think we'll ever have a Tyson who is explosive, who is as good as Mike was. I just can't see it. I was thinking the same. If Parker never fought again, would anyone care? Not really, to be honest with you, mate. Like I'm sick of thinking this will be different, and then him stinking the place out again. So if he said tomorrow I'm retired, I'm thinking, all right, I'll do a career review for you, and then sail off into the sunset. Joe Parker is a nice old lad, but would never diss him. But let's be honest, there's just no dog in the lad. Yeah, no, there isn't. There isn't. And again, like Parker irritates me because he's so talented. There's so much natural ability there. There's like if you wanted to design a good heavyweight, you would literally get Joseph Parker, take a lot of his attributes, and you put it in that good heavyweight. You know, Parker would have you'd have pretty much Joseph Parker. But Joe Parker just doesn't use those natural abilities. You know, he's not got the meanness. I don't think he's the confidence either. Gee, man, been following your channel since 400. Oh man, that seems like an eternity ago. Loving the progress, mate. Keep the quality content, man. Appreciate that. ZP, man, that seems like an eternity when I had 400 subs. Close to 5K now. It's Jesus. It's crazy, bro. It's been crazy. We're never going to see a prime Mike Tyson, given how things play out. Yeah, I think Tyson's a once-off. He's a unique fighter. He's a once-in-a-generation fighter. I think we might see someone try and emulate Mike Tyson in terms of style, but they'll never be able to do what Tyson did, have the success. And again, let's just say for argument's sake, it's very different the heavyweight division nowadays than it was back in the 80s. The people are just so much bigger. You know, Tyson, a prime Tyson, never would have fought a 6'9" long, rangy Tyson Fury. You know, so look at what Bone Crusher Smith did, who's 6'4" or 6'5". Is he 6'4"? So he's one or the other. He was able to nullify Tyson. He didn't win, but he was able to nullify Tyson for 12 rounds just by fiddling him around, holding him, you know. So how would a prime, like honestly, how would a prime Tyson get on today? It's a miracle boxers survived after so much partying. Yeah, some of them I really like. Arturo Gatti was another one. He used to party a lot. It's a wonder, like between that and the wars he had, it's a wonder he was able to stick around as long as he did. Yeah, tight. I think Teddy Atlas said in interviews, right, that when Mike Tyson was 12, he was having to lie about Tyson's age and say Tyson was 15 because they never believed a 12-year-old could look like that. I remember that. I remember him saying that. He was like, he's 12. No, he's not. And Teddy Atlas was like, I'm going to have to go along with this. Yeah, he's not 12. He's 16. I mean, Tyson knocked Lennox Lewis clean out the ring when they sparred when they were 15. Lennox Lewis looked like a 15-year-old. He looked like a 15-year-old teenage boy. Mike Tyson didn't look like your typical 15-year-old. You know? Hector Camacho too. Yeah, Hector Camacho was a great fighter. So many good fighters, you know, throughout the ages. I used to love Boom Boom Mancini. Now, he was a fighter who, after the tragic death of Dooku Kim, that really affected him badly. Boom Boom Mancini, really did. Yeah, cousin Teddy had to lie about his age to get men to spar with him. Yeah, it's quite crazy when you think about it. Like when you look at Mike Tyson, age 13, it really is crazy. When you look at it, you just think, holy shit. Although saying that, like he did stop growing quite early as well. But when have you ever seen like 15-year-olds looking like Mike Tyson? Like I've never seen anything like it. Do you think steroids are still? Oh man, I'd say the majority are. To be honest with you, I'd say the majority of them are. To be honest with you, I think that's probably rampant at this stage. And I think like I seen a picture of Jarrell Big Farmer Miller, and he is still looking absolutely massive. He was stood next to Kalnaki, and it was a training picture. He is still looking massive, and he's not due. His suspension isn't due off for another 6 months, and I don't believe he's being tested. So he has plenty of time to take whatever he needs. And he's still looking massive. Probably height and reach will play a factor if the big opponent, yeah. That's another good shout. Sylvester Sanchez, crazy. He was only 23 when he died. Who knows what career he could have achieved if he had a full career. Billy Collins looked good as well. Up and coming with Top Rank until he had that fight with Louis Risto, and he got his eyes smashed to pieces. That was a fix of a fight. They took the padding out of Risto's gloves. Panama Lewis. If you ever see The Salt in the Ring, it's a great documentary. But he was a fighter many people said would have went somewhere because his eyes got destroyed, completely destroyed. But Sylvester Sanchez, again, there's been so many good fighters who just... And I think there's a difference between a fighter who is good and has wasted their talent, but I think there's often times where we see a prospect coming up and we actually think he's better than he is. I fully thought O'Hara Davis was a much, much better fighter than he turned out to be. I literally thought Davis and Taylor would be such a competitive fight. I didn't see it going as one-sided as that. Mate, definitely. Promoters will work with Jarrell Miller 100%. 100%. Boxing, put it like this, right? Eddie Hearn has said he's washed his hands with Jarrell Miller. He's worked with drug cheats before. He'll do it again. I'm not saying Eddie Hearn will work with him, but it wouldn't shock me if PBC do it, if De La Hoya does it. Wouldn't shock me. It's quite remarkable to think how many times this guy's popped dirt, and he'll just keep getting chance after chance. I wonder how. Put it like this, right? He definitely will get another failed test. He'll definitely pop again. It's in him. I don't think he's the confidence to fight clean. Aaron Pryor cut his career short with drugs. Would love to see him against Leonard. Yeah, Pryor was, oh man, Aaron Pryor. I love watching the highlights of him. He was brilliant to watch. Aaron Pryor. There's so many examples of fighters in the 80s. And so that's one of the reasons as well about Tyson. When you look at a lot of the fighters he fought, like when he fought them, like Pinklon Thomas had so many drug issues by the time he fought Tyson. Although Pinklon Thomas was a good fighter, he's a very good fighter, when Tyson fought him, he was just a wash. There was so many in the 80s who just had those issues. Yeah, Tyson had one weakness, it was mental, yeah. There was more than one weakness to Tyson, I definitely look at Buster Douglas. Like he knew, make Tyson work when he doesn't want to, and don't let him work when he wants to. That's basically how Buster Douglas bet him. So Douglas would be working in the clinches where Tyson wants to take a break, and then whenever Tyson would want to work, he just grab him. It was pretty straight. Like realistically, looking at it, you'd say it's straightforward. To implement it, it took a lot of skill. But that was one of the things I noticed. That's how you beat. Keep him on the end of a jab. When he gets up close and he wants to work, just tie him up. And then when you have him in a clinch, punch with him. Because people, as they say, used to call it like a silent contract where, all right, we're in a clinch. I won't hit you. You don't hit me. And Tyson would use that to kind of regroup, get ready for another attack. But Buster Douglas was working with him in the clinches. And Tyson didn't want that. Better or worse, mainly for more of a curiosity. I want to see Miller fight again. I don't like Miller, mate. I don't like him at all. But I'm kind of in the same bracket as you. I would still watch him. Like, if someone said tomorrow, Jarrell Miller is going to make a comeback and he's going to fight, name me a fringe contender, KO Kennedy, man, I'd watch that nonetheless. But let's say someone else, let's say fucking Nick Webb, I'd watch that. I'd definitely watch that. Tony Tucker versus Jerry Cooney. Oh, that's a good fight, actually. I'd go with Tucker. I think Cooney's chin was always his biggest problem. I mean, Cooney got knocked out by Michael Spinks. Michael Spinks is like heavyweight. I would go with Tony Tucker to win that fight. If it was in the 80s, Tony Tucker to win it. Do I think he'd outbox him? He probably would outbox. Well, Tony Tucker could box, definitely. You saw that in the Tyson fight early on. I think that could he stop him? He probably could, to be honest. Jerry Cooney had a very shaky chin. Good punch though, very shaky. Ali was a great man out there, but the greatest heavyweight of all time, I think not. It's so open for debate, man. Like, I mean, some people say Joe Louis, some people say Tyson, some people say Holyfield. Lewis, I think looking at what Ali did and what he did past his prime, you'd have to say he's in with a shout of being the greatest. You would lean towards Tucker and ability. Yeah, I'd go with proud father, great name. I'd go with Tony Tucker as well. Though I'd heavily favour Tony Tucker. Jerry Cooney was a good fighter, but I just think his biggest issue was his chin. Maya Gemma tweeting she never watched boxing. I know, yeah. It's gonna be. Oh look, oh, man. Ice Cube. Hope you had a good day. Big up to Ice Cube. Today was a good day. See what I did there? All right, lads. I've gone over the hour and a half mark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut this down here because I do want to get some videos recorded for tomorrow. A big up to Mark Osborne. Hit the like button if you could. Help the boy out. Really does help out a lot. I didn't mention Larry Holmes actually. Yeah, Larry Holmes is a good shout as well. Larry Holmes is a hell of a fighter. If you could, right, on your way out, because 70 in the chat, smash the like button on the way out. Appreciate everyone dropping by the way. Want to give one last, if I can find her super chat, if I can find it. It's not already gone. It's gone. Look. A big up to Karma Serene. Every time she was in the chat earlier, she gave me 20 quid. Appreciate that, my dear. Thank you so much for that. Big up to everyone else who's been in the chat. Big up to Nick. Yeah, obviously, where's Dell? Where's Dell hiding? Hiding under his missus. You know, 20 odd stone missus. There you go. Shout out to Blue Collar Sports TV. Big up to Dell. Irish Afro. HP. Big up to all yous. Big up to Chet Collins. Big up to everyone. Lads, video out in the morning. For now, I'll talk to you all. Peace.